Let's start by focusing our attention on Luton Town and Rob Edwards, who has left the club. The Hatters tasted defeat on the road once again on Monday night at QPR and worryingly have not picked up a single point on their travels since a 1-0 win at Millwall in mid-September. They have now lost 4 games in a row, sit 20th in the table and are just 2 points above the relegation zone when many tipped them to push for automatic promotion back to the Premier League. "You're getting sacked in the morning," was the chant directed towards Rob Edwards on Monday night from his own supporters. And just 3 days later, Edwards left by mutual consent as the Hatters seek fresh direction, looking to simply survive in the Championship. Let's speak to Adam Driscoll from the Oak Road Hatters podcast. Adam, how are you feeling following the news of Rob Edwards' departure from Luton?
Yeah, I mean, a bit of a mixed bag, really. I think a lot of Luton fans would agree that it's the right thing to do, and we've probably needed a change now for a good few weeks, and clearly it's come. But then equally, you look back on Rob Edwards and what he's given the club in terms of that promotion to the Premier League, which was almost an impossible dream. And he delivered that, and obviously then gave us a memorable year in the Premier League and memories that will never be forgotten. So it's a strange one, but I think ultimately it is the right thing for the club in terms of avoiding a disastrous outcome this season, and obviously for the long-term ambitions as well.
So you're saying that the timing is right, or do you think it should have happened sooner?
I mean, I personally think it should have happened a bit sooner. We haven't shown any signs of improvement for quite a few weeks now, and I think there's an argument to be made that it could and should have been done the other side of Christmas. But we are where we are, and clearly the board have decided that those 10 away defeats in a row and a little bit of luck that we've been having at home in certain games, it is the final straw. So yeah, I think it could have been done before and done sooner, but clearly this is enough now as well.
So I mean, it has to have been the end game for him, really, once his own supporters were chanting at him from the stands, hasn't it? That has to be the end, surely.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I don't like to hear that supporters would be singing that, but I could understand why maybe some would. It's the sort of thing you'd expect from opposition fans, very, very clearly. But ultimately, it's just been a nightmare of a season. We're 2 points above the relegation zone. We've lost 15 games, which I think is 2 more than anybody else. And it's not been acceptable in terms of players playing out of positions, lack of tactical ideas. Altogether, it's just been really completely unacceptable. So yeah, you don't want to hear that sort of singing from your own supporters, but it's very understandable as well.
Ultimately, how will Rob Edwards be remembered at Kenilworth Road, and what will his legacy be?
Oh, I mean, without a doubt, he'll be remembered as the guy that took us to the Premier League. There'll be a case made by other fans or other clubs and some of our fans that Nathan Jones laid the foundations. And yes, he did. But, Rob Edwards took us to another level. We weren't in the playoff places when Jones left for Southampton. Edwards came in. He didn't change too much, but he made signings like Drame and Nakamba that were crucial to getting us into the playoffs and into the Premier League. So there's no doubt in my mind that he delivered that success. And then obviously, the Premier League memories, the really good go that we gave the Premier League season was led by him. And one thing I would like to say as well is, the professionalism and his kind of humility as a person was one of the things that really gained us a lot of admirers during that season. So it's definitely worth pointing that out, that he is like a lovely, lovely guy. I think he will find another job very quickly, perhaps even at championship level. His character, his personality will also be remembered, as well as the promotion and that Premier League season as well.
Yeah. One thing that sort of has spread through Watford fans is he looks like he's aged quite considerably recently. It looks like it's taken his toll on him a little bit. Is the fact that Luton currently sit 20th in the Championship solely on Edwards, though, or are the players also culpable?
Oh, no, it's not all on Edwards at all. I think there's blame to be shared throughout the club. I think you can look at the players. Yes, we have certain players that have been playing out of position, but we've also got a lot of players that just have not been putting a shift in, as we've seen in previous seasons, particularly last season and the playoff winning season. I'm not saying they've given up, but a lot of them are just not putting that shift in. And so you have to look at them and wonder what's happening there. Equally, I think you've got to look at the board and how well Edwards has been backed in the window in the summer last year, but also in the January window of 2024. I think there's a big case for the board maybe not being ambitious enough, firstly, to retain our Premier League status, which I kind of understand because there's still obviously no guarantee that you do stay up, having spent maybe a good few tens of millions. But certainly the summer of 2024, we didn't spend anywhere near enough money or show anywhere near enough ambition to reflect what the club and the fans were hoping to achieve this season. So, as much as Edwards is going to be and is the one to pay the price, I think you have to look at the board as well and the players.
Now, it hasn't escaped my notice that there's a local derby against Watford at Vicarage Road coming up soon. What are your thoughts about that match, regardless of who's in charge?
Well, I mean, I guess at the moment I would be slightly scared of that if I'm being brutally honest. I mean, I was at the game a couple of years ago when you guys, Watford, absolutely demolished us. And the way things are shaping up with our away form, it's looking very much like that would be a repeat. Regardless of you guys being sort of inconsistent at the moment, I think that would be my fear, certainly. So, yeah, I guess the hope for us is that a new manager can come in. They can firstly turn around that away form and make that more of an experience and an occasion to look forward to as opposed to be fearing.
Is there significant concern now from supporters that Luton could in fact suffer back-to-back relegations?
Yeah, I mean, I think if there's any Luton fans that aren't fearful of that, I think they need to sort of wake up to the occasion, to be brutally honest. I mean, we are 2 points above the drop. We've played a couple of games more than Portsmouth, who are one below us. We've played a game more than Cardiff and Plymouth. So we are well and truly in a relegation battle until we get a few wins and show, promising signs performance-wise that suggest otherwise. I think the January window is also going to be very big. We need to invest in the squad in a few different areas. But, we are almost certainly in a relegation battle. And yeah, as I said earlier on, it would be an absolute disaster if we are in League One next season.
We'll come on to the January window in a minute. Your away record, it's a real concern. Like I mentioned earlier, no points on the road since mid-September. Why has this been such a problem?
I think it just spirals, doesn't it? It's confidence. Maybe it's belief in the players that they have in themselves and the belief the players maybe have in the manager. But, once you get in a losing routine, particularly away from home, it's very, very hard to turn that around. And, our defensively, we've been awful. 44 goals conceded already this season. We're just not defending even the basics correctly. And then, there's countless pressure that comes in most away games from obviously home teams wanting to have that impetus and being on the front foot. The QPR game the other night, there's an argument to be made that we should have scored 2 or 3 ourselves, but we were probably quite lucky for QPR not to score 5. So, you've got to get things right and the basics right. And I think we're not doing that at all. I think maybe the home games, we're slightly helped by the fact that Kenilworth Road does get quite loud and quite leery. And maybe the players respond to that a little bit better. But when you're going away from home and you've got a minority of the fans there that are backing you guys, it's very hard to turn around that confidence.
Yeah, it's not a nice place to go, Kenilworth Road. It really isn't. So Preston and Oxford United coming up after the FA Cup tie this weekend against Nottingham Forest. 2 absolutely massive games that really could leave a mark on Luton's season, couldn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially hopefully we see a new manager bounce. I think Preston at home, well, they're 15th at the moment. Oxford away, they are probably two games where you would say we need a minimum of 4 points, just to keep our tally ticking and hopefully push us away from the danger zone. So they're going to be massive games. And I think if you look at the fixtures kind of beyond that as well, you know, we've obviously lost to quite a few teams this season, but you would certainly say that the fixtures on paper are slightly more favourable for the new manager coming in. So yeah, we're certainly all hoping for that new manager bounce.
So coming back to the January transfer window, where do you think Luton need to strengthen?
Well, I mean, how long have we got? I mean,
It's that bad, is it?
It's not. It is. Yeah. I mean, there's several positions we need to strengthen. We've seen already Lamine Fane come in, and he played against QPR. Looked quite good. So I think he'll be a good difference in midfield, and particularly that kind of holding midfield. But we need, we need another left back, because we've got Alfie Doughty as our wing back, our left wing back, but he's injured, and if he gets injured again, we're really struggling there. So we need cover at left wing back or left back. We probably need another centre midfielder. I mean, you can make arguments all over the pitch. We probably need another forward option that's different to what we've got up there now. So, there's a good 3 or 4 areas across the pitch that we need to strengthen, but we need to strengthen with the right players that have, the experience at this level, and it maybe even utilising the loan market from the Premier League as well.
Finally, Adam, let us know where we can find your podcast.
Yep. So on all social media platforms, we are at Oak Road Hatter. We have at least one, probably 2 podcasts going out each week. So any Luton fans that aren't aware of us, that's where you can find us. And there's obviously plenty for us to talk about at the moment as well.
I would say so, yes. Adam Driscoll from the Oak Road Hatters podcast. Thank you very much for coming on the EFL Fan Network.